Hey, hey.
Hey.
I was expecting to see more beards. Yes, Dirk, absolutely.
I think everyone should today because of this, of course. Big thing happening. Only thing this week.
So
how many are we now? I can't see that.
Now 23.
Where do you see this?
You go on the, if you go downstairs, there are the three, there are these there's a little figure.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the
Hi
middle.
guys, can you hear me? This is Mika.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, Mika.
Hi guys. I had huge problems with connecting with my computer, so now I'm using my phone. So I have no idea whether you can see my face or not. But
Yeah, we see your lovely face.
then it's not me if you're referring as lovely.
It's your webinar stand-in.
Hey, Martine, can you hear us now?
I can hear you very well. Hello.
Yeah, Martine's just sent a chat saying that she can't hear us, but maybe I think that's because her internet's frozen by the look of it.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Gary,
Hey.
Martin, Mika, and everybody. Good morning. Sorry for being.
Hi, Andras. Good morning, Andras. Good to see you.
Please accept Judith, who will replace me after 12:30 because I will have to leave. But it's good to see you all.
It definitely is.
Didn't see a person with a tie for 2 months. It's very exciting.
So should we kick this off because we only have an hour? I don't know if everyone that has registered is now on the call, but I think we might as well start. Yeah. First of all, welcome to this other second webinar of the European group, and also we have Margaret here from Houston with us. Hello. Good morning. And also, thank you so much, Mika and Gary, for kind of doing all this, collecting all these interesting topics, and also helping out with these webinars. This is the way we're going to meet each other now for a while. And in Sweden today, the big headline is that SAS, our national air company, they kind of fired 5,000 people out of 11,000. So I think it's the traveling. We're going to go by car around Europe now. Perhaps, I don't know. It's going to be very, very different.
They hire them again in a few weeks' time, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's very sad. The topic for today is navigating internal communication, and I can just say I just wanted to kick off by saying that yesterday we had a meeting with our staff and told a part of the administration will have to leave because of we don't have enough to do, and we for the foreseeable future we don't know when this is gonna change. Mm-hmm. This afternoon, what we do when we try to navigate internal communication, we're going to try to have like a meeting like this with the staff because no one is really in the office, or 10 people or so today. I think to try to discuss with people in a normal, at least the way I'm used to, and it's kind of very not so personal this way in my opinion, but I guess we will have to get used to it and train a bit to learn to do it in a good way. Yeah. So the plan is then to let everyone talk a bit. Yeah, Gary and Gary and Mika will take care of this, and I think Mika will start a bit about Finland and Helsinki. Last time we worked at 8 on the call, so it's quite a few more this time, which is really, really good. And hopefully we'll be even more next time. Thank you.
So thanks, Stefan. Just from a housekeeping point of view, whilst I think what we're going to have is a couple of us just talking through how we go through our internal comms. And whilst doing that, it might be useful if everyone else can go on mute, because I think the WebEx system just allows it to be heard easier without any feedback or whatever. And then once we've done ours, it'll only take 5 or so minutes for each of us to go through it. Then we're sort of like going to open it up to everyone to sort of talk through various bits and pieces. And if I can, I may well try and share a site. Whether that works or not, who knows. But anyway, so Mika, I think we were just gonna start with you and a few things that your firm's doing on the internal communication piece. I thought was quite interesting.
Okay, guys, can you hear me? And again, can you see me? I managed, I think, to log in with my computer now, but some confirmation would be great. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's
Very
fine.
good. Very good. So, okay, since we have a bunch of people who weren't participating in the first webinar, I'll give you a very, very short update on how it goes in Finland, because it gives you a good background as to how we are handling this sort of internally. So right now we have about 4,800 confirmed cases in Finland, which isn't that much. The number of people who had died is little less than 200. So it's and our population is something like 5.6 million. So it's not very sort of widely spread in here, but nevertheless it's something which has been taken quite seriously. We don't have quite as strict restrictions as some of the southern and central European countries would have. Our limit is that you shouldn't be in a group of more than 10 people. At the same time, restaurants are closed, but shops are open. But I think that sort of one of the reasons why it goes like this is that Finnish people, believe it or not, are pretty good in following sort of recommendations and rules by the government. So we tend to do what is required, even myself. And that's the reason why it's sort of you can go with maybe a little bit more lenient requirements. Okay, so that is like the Finland background, and then a short background as to how we are doing at Progerus in Finland right now. So last time I already managed to brag that we actually, the March was extremely good month for us. It was the third best month during the existence of the company. So even though I've been working from home, this is the 6th week, and to be honest, the M&A market is pretty much, dead. The rest of the firm was doing extremely well during the March. Now, when we are in April and looking at May, it's not looking that fantastic anymore. But there is still a fair amount of work. But again, so the sort of practices most hit are M&A, private equity, financing, as we're talking about acquisition financing, and actually right now sort of restructuring insolvency work that hasn't properly went, but we are expecting that work to start the latest after the summer. And what this means, and now I'm finally getting into this sort of what we're doing internally, is that we haven't so far laid off anybody, we haven't furloughed anybody, and actually because our financial year ended at the end of March. So before all this hit, we managed to even announce people sort of all the salary increases that they're going to get. So we've been going just absolutely normally. And to be honest, we've also managed to collect our fees quite nicely. So I think that now if you're looking at the balance, if there's €0 coming in, we can still survive 6 or 7 months. So we're in a good place in that sense. And as a result of that, so as of right now, we don't have plans to lay off anybody or furlough anybody. At least that was my understanding yesterday. But it doesn't mean that there our staff wouldn't be afraid. And the one thing that they really are afraid is whether they will be able to keep their jobs. And if, because you have a loan for your flat and your entire life is depending on getting a salary.
And that's like a proper worry that they have. And what we are trying to do is then mitigating that worry with two different types of things. First thing is that we've been ordered within the respective practice groups, such as M&A and private equity, that we should have at least 3 times a week. Some practice groups are having on a daily basis some type of sort of joint discussion forum. We do it 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. If we don't have any sort of real assignment-related discussions, what we do sort of internal trainings. People are speaking up. We are making our sort of templates better than they were. All sorts of sort of normal stuff for which you wouldn't normally have maybe as much time as we would right now. The intention of this is to show that the business is going. Even if we don't do billable work, we are still sort of focusing on how to make the firm better than it is right now, how to sort of hit the market in an even better position than we were when this occurred. Then we have our managing partner who is having once a week 15 minutes, like in the morning, in which he will just explain how the firm is doing, what are we doing, how does it look, and sort of just try to give the impression and the facts that we're doing fine, don't worry about it. So that's sort of what happens. And then we still keep on having a monthly sort of updates, but that's nothing out of the ordinary. And the whole thing focusing on there is to make people sort of feel safe, that you have your job, you don't have to, go and do anything drastic, don't worry about it. And then the other thing that we've done, which is not that normal anymore, at least for us, is that we have once a week some social event, webinar of some type. Usually it's on Friday. What we've had local bands doing a streaming concerts for us. So just for us, they are playing music, and people are getting a glass of wine or drink or whatever, and the band is playing for us, and then you have a possibility of chatting with, as we would have in here. So they are sort of whatever they do. They're organizing some games. I must admit that I haven't participated, but some web games to which people can participate. And the whole thing is then to try to build up sort of the joint feeling that even though it's difficult, we are still, having fun and doing the right things. And so far, I've had then sort of these, yearly development discussions with my team members. And what I've heard so far as a response from them is that since they have friends in other law firms, they are giving us now very good credit that we are more open, more active giving this information. And they really like, obviously, to have concerts and whatever we are organizing. And it seems that at least in sort of in the practice that I'm heading, M&A private equity, people are not that afraid. They're not that afraid, and I'm very proud of it because of the fact that this is one of the practices which are the worst hit. But that I guess is my, I don't know, I promised 3 to 5 minutes. I probably went for 7, but I can't help myself. Thank you.
That's all right. It was quite interesting then, Mika. Thanks very much. And then Martine, you're up. Yep, super.
Yes.
So Martine Samrian from Jonte also has some interesting aspects on how they communicate with staff internally. So,
yes. Thank you. I'm really happy to see you. I was not able to hear you at the beginning, but I'm really happy to see you. Thank you, Gary. Yes, what has been explained by Mika is not very far from what we are doing in France, except the fact that we have a number of sick people and the number of people who have died from the COVID, which is much more higher than the numbers that Mika has given to us, because as you know, in France, we have around 45,000 people sick, and we have 23,000 people who died from this disease. So it's very high numbers. And because of that, we have decided at the firm since March 16 to close the building. and to ask our people to stay home. And just the week before, they were asked to leave every night with their computer and their documents, because we never know without if they will be able to come back the next morning. But and because we are now staying home for more than 1 month and a half, very, very quickly we have decided at the management of the firm that the communication with the staff was the key issue to keep everybody on board and to take care of our people. So what we have organized is on 3 levels. The first one is a global one, and it means that every 10 days, around that, we are organizing a video conference with all the people at the firm that want to join. And for that, you know, the management, that is not urgently, we have 2 bodies taking care of the firm. The management is giving the economic situation of the firm, and we are also giving them the decision that we are taken. And for example, as you know, we have been authorized by the French government to put in place a part-time unemployment for our employees. So we have decided to take this advantage for several weeks during the month. And we are also giving them the benchmark with the other competitors on the French market, because as you know, our associates, as yours, are talking to their friends in other law firms, and it's very important, as Mika said, to be sure that our people consider that we are doing well with their situation. And then we are, during this video conference, giving them the next step as long as we can imagine them, because as for you, it is changing, not every day, but every 2 days, let's say. In return, we are asking them to share with us their expectations, their fears, their difficulties, and so on. So this makes a very interactive communication, and we know that they are really they really appreciate, because when they compare with other friends in other law firms, they just understand that we are doing as much as we can to keep in touch and to keep the close relationship that we should have with them. More than this video conference with all the staff, we have organized very close relationship between the management, the partners at the firm who are in charge of managing the associates and the concerns, and the representative that had been elected by associates and by council. This is another way to keep the information from their side and from our side also. And then, of course, we are organizing social events, let's say every 10 days again. But as Mika, we haven't found any concert that will accept to play for us. So I keep the idea, and I will try to find one, but really it's not very easy. And more than this global communication to the staff, of course, each team has organized the call with the members of the team. For instance, some have organized every morning morning call. Other, as my team, we have one call every 2 days. And of course, we are dealing with individual relationship, because we have found that for the young associates, it was much more difficult than for the others, because for some of them just start at the firm. They don't know really well the firm, the members of that team, and so on. For instance, in my team, I have associates who joined us on 1st of March. So she knows us for 15 days before we stay home. So it's not very easy to keep relationships and to develop this relationship, but this is what we are trying to do. Just another view about the economic situation of the firm. As for Finland, we have worked a lot in March, but really a lot. And now what we see is that mid of April, we have less things to do, but it's also combining with the holidays in France. So I believe that this is part of the situation that makes that we have less work. But yesterday night we have a partner meeting, and we have decided not to ask some of our associates to leave the firm. Of course, we take decisions as you are dealing with every week because things are changing a lot. But at this point, this is what we have decided, and we will try to obtain and to see if we are eligible to the loan that will be guaranteed by the French government. But at this stage, we don't need it. We are dealing with the cash, and as long as it is now, it's fine. So let's hope that all clients will continue to pay the fees, and that we will be dealing with this crisis as we can. So I'm sorry to have been a little bit longer than it was expected.
No. That's absolutely fine, Martin. Thank you very much. And then hopefully Rafa Calvo from Garrigos I think he's on a telephone line as opposed to video.
Yeah.
Ah, excellent, great.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry for. Hear you, Rafa. So off you go.
Okay. Sorry for not being able to turn the camera on. Maybe too many systems working at the same time, and this is one of the bad news about this new situation, that we are starting to be confused about all the technology we have in front of us in order to stay connected. Also, apologize for not being able to join the previous session. So I will make a very brief summary of the situation in Spain, which, as you know, is not good at all. We have been very seriously hit by the COVID. A lot of people affected. A lot of people, fortunately, died, and we have been in lockdown for 6 weeks. There are no clear plans on how we are going to get out, and we are obviously very much focused now on the disease and fighting against it. Now it seems that fortunately that the hospitals are not collapsed anymore, so this is good. But we are very much concerned about the consequences of all this in the economy of the country. As you can imagine, Spain relies a lot on tourism, or on the social life and the economic activity related to it. So, I mean, we are very much concerned about not having the restaurants and the hotels and the shops open in the near future, which will be very, very, very bad for the economy. So we are concerned. As far as the firm is concerned, we are doing well. I mean, there's still work. We are keeping ourselves busy. Similar to what Mika and Martin explained, March was a good month actually in terms of fees. We will see now in April, but most of M&A still goes on. There is new regulation, I would say, almost every week. So this is generating a lot of questions for the lawyers. There are a lot of employment issues, so we are very busy on that field. Litigation has stopped because the courts are closed, but this will start again. So I mean, from our Garrigues perspective, we are doing reasonably well. As also Martin mentioned, we are more concerned about the young people, to keep them busy and keep them connected, and feeling that they are safe in the sense that the firm goes on. which is true. I mean, we have sent several messages in the sense that we don't anticipate any cuts in people in payments because we are in a very good financial position. We have been very prudent financially in the last years, and this is now paying off. So we are not concerned, and we are trying to convey this message to everybody. From an internal perspective, we are discovering, myself, the first one, the possibilities that the new technology is offering to us. I'm working a lot. We are all working a lot with, for instance, Microsoft Teams. This tool, not only with clients, but to organize video call with clients, but also internally. We have created several chats which are very, very practical and very flexible and very useful in order for the people to stay connected and exchange news and exchange business ideas or our views on new legislation, or how are we doing from a financing perspective or invoicing perspective. We are so many that naturally we need to do this in small groups. For instance, we have a chat of all the tax partners in Madrid. This is 35, 36 people. And I would say that we are even more connected now than we were before this crisis arises, in the sense that we are every day getting messages, or today we just invoiced this miserable amount, or the other way around. This was a very good day, and I mean we are keeping ourselves very much connected at broader levels. Our managing partner has organized video call with groups of partners in order to let us know the situation in the firm. And we are also in practice, smaller practice groups, organizing follow-up videos or technical sessions with the whole staff, in order for them first to check that they are keeping busy, because as I said before, the situation, and I could probably you all agree, is more difficult for them than probably for the partners or more senior people. And for instance, next Thursday we have a technical session just to discuss international tax matters. So I mean, we are starting to think if we will be able to come back to the offices by groups, or depending on, we need to take a lot of measures to be sure that we are not doing the wrong thing. But I think that's it. I mean, from an internal communication perspective, I would say that we are, it's an obsession to us that everybody stays connected and busy, and so far we are doing client work. I mean, we are, and hopefully we will still doing so in the coming months, even if as I said before, that the general situation is quite uncertain.
Rafa, thank you very much for that. Just to sort of like finish off the session, and then before we open it up, I'm going to try and share some content.
So just before you continue,
yes, Andrea.
Judith will brief you, and it was a pleasure to see you all and see you in person very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Goodbye.
So I don't know if everyone can see. Hopefully on the screen is an intranet page from our firm.
No, nothing.
No, nothing.
No, we only see the program.
Ah, okay. Hold on there. I knew technology would quite work.
Actually, Gary, it won't let me give you the presenter, because I would have to close the poll in order to let you share it. But if you want to send it to me, I can share it.
I don't think it's an intranet, so I'm not sure how it works. But anyway, let me just explain to you what we have. So on our intranet in the firm, we have a whole website for well-being, and it's split between children and learning. Let me just get it up so I can remember exactly where it's gone. Oops. Yeah, so it's split between children and learning, mental health and well-being, best practice when working from home, learning and development resources. And the one thing I just wanted to show to you was that on the children and learning section, there's a bit called on the children and learning section. There's a bit called children and learning section. Is there a feedback going on?
Yeah.
Is there a feedback going on?
I can record them. I can record them.
You should have AI, obviously.
Exactly, I know. What's going on? Is that clearer now?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Sorry, so what I was saying is on the children and learning section, there's a bit called Sort Out Your Day with Celebrities. And it basically starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. And there is every hour, there is some session with a celebrity, whether it's fit, learning about maths, how to dance, etc., etc. And I just wanted to show that page to everyone, but obviously the technology didn't quite let me go.
Gary, can you give us a screenshot on that? Because I think this is a very good thing for everybody.
Yeah, good idea. I'll screenshot it and email it.
Yeah.
So after that, the only other thing I wanted to mention just before I open it up is that we have a poll. Margaret, no doubt, can tell us how we access or answer the questions on the poll. Margaret?
Yes, absolutely. So, good morning. With WebEx, if you look down below, you can see there's multiple options. You can see the participant button, which looks like a person, the chat button, which is a little chat bubble, and there should also be a poll option. So you should be able to see participants, chat, and then poll. And so we have 10 questions for you to answer, and then afterward we will upload it on our post-event page and then also email the poll results as well. So it just gives us at WSG a better understanding, and it's, gives everyone a chance to share. So if you can take the poll, that would be great.
Okay, cool. And so now you've heard from a number of people about what they're doing on internal staff messaging. Loads of people emailed me with their views and comments as well. But on the basis of what you've heard so far, has anyone got any other things that they're doing which might be of interest to everyone?
Yeah.
Dirk, yeah.
We're doing a regular sports program.
Oh.
With a trainer, which is extremely well received. Because people are, as we all know, I'm sitting here now for 7 weeks, and it's not only a question of weight, but also people want to do something just to get mentally away from this bombardment of bad messages within Corona. The second thing I did for my department, which is doing mainly every department now, is I invented something like Corona and Coffee, which basically comes from car and coffee in the US, which is a possibility for the secretaries to chat 15 minutes every day, 3 o'clock between themselves without their bosses, because we noted that this chit chat in the kitchen and things like that is what they are mainly missing. They are basically the type of loneliness they have is amazingly high, and that makes us really feeling like we have to do something in order to bring them back into the normal chat with their colleagues. We think that is something which they will keep on for quite a while, because we cannot see that we opened the office, although we are here in Germany in the first step back into certain way of opening the offices. But when I asked them on Friday whether they would like to go back, mainly the very young colleagues told us they would prefer to stay home because they just feel not at ease when they go back. And we think the biggest problem we have right now is with colleagues who have children at home. If there's to work from home for them is a real pain. And we are offering them now to take a hotel room. There are hotel rooms which are dedicated for home office now, so they can go there in the morning, work there over the day, and go back in the evening, which is. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. That was quite interesting. Certainly about the hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anything? Anyone using WhatsApp? Because we've got the majority of our teams now are on a team WhatsApp, and so again, outside of emails or anything else, people are WhatsApping each other. Generally speaking, it's with ridiculous videos of President Trump and other things, but otherwise, it's quite a good way to keep in touch.
Yeah, WhatsApp is dangerous. Yeah. Yeah.
We're using Teams meetings. We're not using Zoom and we're not using Skype unless we are called in by clients or others. We don't trust those pages, but MS Teams seems to be fairly safe because it's also connected to Microsoft 360 and therefore embedded in our systems.
Yeah, same for career.
We have very good experience with our app, I must say. That works perfectly well to keep everybody together. And it really works well, and a lot of jokes being exchanged, a lot of games being made, preferred songs which have to be posted. So I must say, really, to keep people together, the WhatsApp is something which works perfectly well. And it's something we learned from other firms who had to close down earlier, is that at the beginning, everybody thinks that it's just fun to be doing some smart working or working from home. But at the end, specifically those, let's say, younger staff who are living alone and maybe in apartments which are not so big, it really gets frustrating for them. So WhatsApp is great, at least one great tool to keep communicating.
Very good, Guy. Raimondo, what about Gianni in Italy, since you've been locked down, I think, the first of the European countries?
Yeah. Well, in terms of situation, it's quite similar to what happened in Spain. I think that in terms of casualty, we are a little bit less, but unfortunately, the figures are quite similar. Hopefully, on May the 4th, the industrial activity should start again. That is what our Prime Minister mentioned during a speech 2 days ago. And hopefully also mid of May, also the retail activity should start again. That is, of course, very important because, as we can understand, the retail activities in Italy fundamental. In terms of the firm, we started, I think, more than 2 months ago. We closed our offices in Milan, Turin, and Padua. Rome office remain open, but of course, all the firm work in smart work. That is, we understand that works. Fortunately, our platform works very well, and we really probably understand that having so important and many space in the office is not will not be necessary, in the future. In terms of staff, we use sort of fallout programs. And we put more or less more than 2/3 of our staff in this fallout program, but of course the firm pays the difference. It's a rotation system in order to allow all the people to work at least 1 or 2 days per week. It's of course the message that we are giving to them is don't worry, is just for precautionary measure, and also these incentives granted by the state should be over at the end of mid of June, end of June. So of course we are using that program. In terms of work, we have a lot of work, honestly, in particular, of course, as in your case, it's in employment, restructuring. We had some M&A transaction, but maybe not new new pipeline. The real question is how much of this work will be converted in money. That is the problem. Our clients are suffering because, of course, have been closed. And then the message that we are giving to them is that, of course, we are a partner of our clients, and of course, we try to be closer to them in this moment. Of course, because we have to restart and stronger than before together. So in this respect, we are trying also to do some more, not billable work, in particular for the situation most complicated. I know we hope that May will be the month of the reopening. We understood that our normal life will not be as it was 3 months, 4 months ago, but just having more, let me say, freedom to go out, to meet some clients, and to have a quasi-normal life, I think will generate some positive trend both for the firms and for the clients.
Yeah, thanks very much, Raimondo. Good luck with the phased reopening. I think as far as the staff communication is concerned, it seems that we've all started to learn about tech that we may have known about before but never used it, and now are using it all the time and are almost like experts. And it's interesting the different ways that people are using either musicians like Mika in Finland coming over the top, or various people using WhatsApp groups and everything. But whatever it is, it's a case of communication is key, so that everyone knows actually what's going on within our law firms. What's interesting coming out of the comments that you've emailed me is that the other themes are, if you like, the external communication to clients and how people are doing that, and there's some very interesting comments around that. Plus also, what do we do when we're coming out of lockdown? And as you heard from Raimondo, they're coming out on May the 4th. And so I thought it'd be useful just to ask everyone, and perhaps what I'll do is I'll just ask everyone to raise a hand rather than say anything. Otherwise, we'll get a zillion people answering at the same time. As to which one they would like to do next, because the comments that I've got fall into, as I say, external communication with clients, and what do we do when the lockdown is over? How do we operate coming out of the lockdown? And so, who would like to have external communication with clients as the next webinar topic? You can put your hands up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6, 7. Thank you, Johan. And who would like the next one to be on the how do we get out of this lockdown? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the external communication one the next time we do this webinar, because I've got a few comments from people on that, so I can ask people to introduce that subject. And then following that, it will probably be just about the time that Raimondo and Gianni come out of lockdown. And so I'll ask Raimondo to go last, on the basis that we'll have some people who can go first to say what do we think we're going to do when we come out of lockdown, and then Raimondo can tell us what he's actually done to come out of lockdown. And see, and see what the comparison is between theory and practice. So otherwise, look at that, 11:47. We've still got like 13 minutes. I thought we were going to overrun, but
Gary, may I?
Yes, Guy.
Yes, something because something which was not really discussed and which I nevertheless we will. We think that is important. Well, first of all, let's say our fiscal year ends on 31st of March as well. And what we decided is that we all salary increases which were decided for the new year will still go ahead. So each and every increase of salary we decided will be paid. We will pay all bonuses to people who were decided before, and we will not lay off people, and we will continue our recruitment. But what we ask staff, and as we believe that activity will start again in September, October, we told people, well, we really will support you during this, and you have not to be afraid. You will make your living, you will get your money, you will get everything. But on the other hand, as we expect work to come up quite rapidly again in September, October, we ask you to post your holidays now. And just to be sure that in the fourth quarter or even the end of the third quarter, when we expect work to pick up again, everybody is there. We will not like people to do homework now, which with the beautiful weather we had for 6 weeks in Luxembourg, a lot of people consider to be holidays. And then once we are back, everybody in September, October saying, now we want to go on holidays. So that's really, we're telling people you get everything you from a money point of view, but don't take your holidays in at year end.
A very important point, Guy. Thank you very much for making that. Again, I think it's the same probably for all of us that we don't want everyone going on holiday as soon as we go back to work and then have a massive upturn in business and nobody actually to help out. So I think that's a good point. Did somebody have their hand up a minute ago? Was it Dirk?
Yeah. We're doing the same. We're asking our employees now to go on holiday. The problem is that some just cannot go because we have so much work in some departments that we said, well, this was not a good idea, but we will find a way. There's one thing I would just to share with you all about in dismissals. We had basically on the first day of the shutdown here in Germany, which is now about 7 weeks, we heard in the news, and you have seen this also in your countries, that Taylor Wessing has dismissed 90 employees within 1 day. And that was extremely bad taken by clients. We got clients in during the lockdown, and we asked them, how the hell are you coming to us now? And they said, because we have been with Taylor Wessing, and we didn't like that they were dismissing people the first day of the crisis, and they dismissed the juniors, which were there for a few months, and we find this socially inadequate. And it's amazing how clients have taken that negatively. If there is no way around it, there is no way around it. But to do it the first day of the crisis, obviously that was, from a marketing perspective, not a good idea.
And in Germany, do you have a furlough procedure provided by the government?
Yeah, of course.
So they could have furloughed those staff?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's another interesting point because, again, some of our own internal discussions have been, even though there may have been one or two people, but for the pandemic that we may have made redundant for one reason or another, we thought it would be awful PR to do that now. So we've just put them on a furlough with some other people, as opposed to doing anything about it that could have an adverse impact. Sylvie?
Hello, everybody. We do have technical unemployment in Belgium, and unfortunately, in the beginning of the crisis, we had to decide to put a part of the staff on temporary technical unemployment, which is a system provided in Belgium where they get, of course, unemployment allocations, and they also get an extra amount. And we are going to see how that impacts their salary in the end and maybe make it up afterwards. But we had to do it for a workload perspective. We did that for a month. We are also building Today, we have 3 steps of getting back to normal. 4th of May, back to work for under very strict conditions. 11th of May, shops will open, and the 18th of May, schools will open. So activity is gonna gradually start again. We are preparing. I'm in the office every day, and we are today preparing the office for a comeback. There's about 12 people out of 100 present, very spread over the office, and it's going to increase as from now. And so the technical unemployment is also going to go down. We're not going to lay off anybody, but we had to take this measure also. And as a compensation, we also took measures for partners to have a cut in their salary, you know, to make up and to tell everybody we're all suffering in the same way. And we announced that to everybody by something we did today, by the way, with a video message with a little movie we made with some people that were present and that could act as actors in our little movie, which was very well received. Everybody had a good laugh. But there was also a very serious part in it where we announced that these measures, we don't like to take them, and of course we're going to limit them to a minimum. But in the, in the long term, that's what we needed to do. And these systems are very established in Belgium.
Yeah, yeah, excellent.
We have a quite comparable situation in Austria. We are in a sort of ramp-up phase as a whole, not only as a firm, but from what we see in the whole of the economy. Everybody is craving to go back to their work, and the 4th of May also marks the day to return to what we call the new normal, however that is going to look like. We have a furlough provision in Austria whereby we can send people on a short-term work for 3 months. They get the payment of 80 to 90% of their salaries. And the good thing about that is it's very flexible. So you can call them in if work increases and reduce the state payment on furlough correspondingly. So that's very helpful. The alarming fact, though, is that 1.1 million people in Austria have applied for this furlough support, which is a really high number, given that the overall workforce in Austria is about 2.9 million. So we'll see where this ends up. But as a firm, we are faring well with this, and we plan to go back to the office in 2 steps, beginning of May, and then followed by a full return in the second half of May. That's how it looks here.
Okay. Stefan, in Sweden, you have a sort of relaxed lockdown mechanism. How does that work?
I think everyone thinks we have a relaxed lockdown, but it is actually, we are not forbidden to go outside. The shops are open, etc. But there's a lot of regulations and advice on how to behave together. And I think what Mika said, Swedes are quite used to stand in line, and we do as we are told. So this social distancing has been a big thing, like 2 meters between everyone. Our firm, we have told everyone to work home. If you have to go to work or for any reason, you are allowed to come here. The problem is in Sweden that a lot of people, at least in Stockholm, commutes, and there has been a lot of spread of the virus while commuting, and obviously not everyone lives in the center of Stockholm, so that has been a problem.
Yeah. Okay.
So the spread of the virus has been more higher in certain areas of the city, and also within the homes for old people, which it's very sad. And there's been I think like 90% of everyone that has died in Sweden is over 70 years old, and it's really, really, really sad. 2,400 people altogether in Sweden has died.
Okay, and then just quickly, maybe just from Boris in Bulgaria. Hi, Boris. Haven't seen you for a little while. How are you?
Well, we are okay. 7th week at home. We started to like it, and I'm afraid that it will be difficult afterwards. Gary, I want to mention that I'm very much impressed by this cultural and sportive initiatives. We don't do so much, but we have one event called Academy for Partners. We do it for 2 years now for in-house counsel, CEOs and CFOs of clients, about 500 people. And now we started to do it every week online, very well accepted. We, of course, continue every week with in-house seminars, and quite often it's reflection of academy. And since the life is too short and there are too many meetings nowadays, we started a new initiative called Meaningful Meetings about 6 weeks ago. So every week we have, as it was mentioned, let's call it celebrity, but these are people from different sectors, the best people in the respective, like the senior partner PwC, the CEO of the largest bank here, UniCredit. So they give us a speech for about 1 hour and 1 hour 30 minutes. At the end, they say something interesting. The last time on last Thursday was with the CEO of the bank, who gave us a recipe how to prepare bread at home. It was marvelous. Even he ordered from Germany some pots in which we could cook on our own. So brilliant. It works.
Yeah, good.
So, and Gary, I'm going to invite you, and the other friends are invited also to join us either in the Academy for Partners. We quite often have outside speakers, not only people from the firm, for clients, and more importantly for these meaningful meetings, because we found so many similarities among the human beings around the globe through this crisis. So it's very nice.
I thought you were going to invite us all to a cooking bread session.
Pleasure.
So we're coming up to full time. Please just ping Stefan or Mika or me an email just to let us know what you think of the format, because it's difficult. It's great having so many people, and we're trying to give different people the sort of the introductory 5 or 10 minutes to talk on the theme, so that at least everyone gets a turn at talking about something, and then hopefully after the sessions people can then interact as we have done now. But if anyone's got any other ideas on how we can make it better, let us know, because the whole point about it is to try and learn from each other rather than having to reinvent the wheel. So as per my previous comment, it looks like the next one, which presumably Margaret will be in another 2 weeks' time. So yeah, so that'll be beginning of May. We'll do on external communication with clients. So if you haven't already sent me some notes on that, please do. And I think I've already asked a couple of people to get ready to introduce themselves on that subject. We'll do that next time round, and then we'll have what I think will probably be quite a lively session on how do we return to work with a couple of people that have already returned to work. So that'd be very good. So it's been absolutely great seeing all of you since it's been months actually, probably. We're all due to see each other next week in Hungary, in Budapest, for the regional meeting. So maybe the next one in 2 weeks' time will have a sort of a regional meeting vibe to it, Judith, and
Hungarian flavor.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. So unless anyone's got anything else to say, I think. Oh, apart from have you done the poll? Because that'd be quite interesting. On the poll, just one other thing. When you're pinging me emails about themes, can you also ping me some questions that you think would be quite useful to have in the poll around that theme? Because it was just Mika, Stefan, and myself that thought of these ones up. So the more involvement we can get, the better. Oh, and Rafa's come on now. We can see him. Hey, Rafa. Woo.
Yeah.
You got your video working.
Always late.
Yeah. So, great.
But I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it's great seeing everyone, and see you all in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the organization. Great. Thank you.